been a while, but join us at Majestic Mayhem. I'm your host, Death Dealer,
And I'm Cozy Beluga.
and we're very excited and happy to
Oh,
be back
this
tonight.
is Pepper.
Yes, can't forget the bird, everybody. Can't forget the bird.
Why is she doing that?
Yeah, he said, "What's up?" He's talking. He's ready to hang, apparently. He said it's been long enough. We haven't done this in a little while. It's been a couple of weeks.
Life happens. Life happens. That's all you can say. Life happens. Like, where you been? Like, life happens.
Yeah, right? It does. So, this evening we will be discussing movies. Um, no particular genres, although I have a feeling I know where we're about to go with that.
I'm going to take it in a direction that you probably don't expect. You think you know what I'm going to talk about, but
Okay, okay. You have my attention. You have my
I
intrigue.
think but instead of holding on and dangling onto this one,
Hmm.
uh the first movie I know what the first movie I want to talk about, and it's not something that anyone would probably expect.
Okay, so tell what's your first?
Batteries not included.
Okay, okay.
Do you even know about batteries not included?
I do. That's the older toy movie where the toys came to life. I believe that was
No,
even
they were
before
toys.
Toy Story,
It was
right?
like, I forget what their name is, but they were like an old couple and they were actors, but they were also acting together in this movie. Like an old couple old actor couple, but they were playing together in this movie. And batteries not included. It was like they were like they'd own this apartment in New York, like a smaller apartment building, and everyone's trying to get them, like, all the developers are in the area are trying to get them to sell their apartment building, but this is their apartment building. The woman has, I guess, like, what do you call it? I don't know if she has Alzheimer's, but she doesn't have good memory. Her memory's shot and gone. And like one of the attendants, she always like acts like he's her son, even though he's not,
Hmm.
because her son's been dead for ages. Um, but and their apartment is falling apart, and then these like little robot creatures come and just show up and start helping them get it together. And I love it. I'm telling you, batteries not included because there's these little like robot creatures.
I'm gonna
Telling you.
have to look. I feel like I know that
You've probably
movie.
seen it because it was like the WB 8 o'clock movie typically for a while. And that's probably the first time I saw it.
Okay, so yeah, I was right. It was way before Toy Story. And wow, this was released in 87, 1987. That's impressive. I do remember this movie though. I remember pieces of it. I don't remember the whole thing, but I do
No,
remember pieces.
it's one of those movies where, at some point in time, we all saw it.
Yeah, yeah.
Because that's
Yeah.
how movies were back then. It wasn't the same now where they were just like movies and you were just like, I don't know they existed. Like, these were movies that they would just play in syndication forever. Forever. Literally
The,
forever.
yeah, yeah. I'll have to agree with you on that one. Yeah, movies for a very long time. It was very hard to not see a movie,
Like Ghost, the
especially if it
same
was
way.
a
That's how
kids
I saw
movie.
Ghost. It would always be on like the WB 8 o'clock movie, and you'd watch it because it was on all the time. And the movies that got those like we'll just be playing all the time deals were the ones that we all got familiar with.
It's funny you say that because now that I think about it, I genuinely do not remember why I watched Ghost, but I know I've
That's
seen
why
it.
you watch Ghost. I'm telling you, that is why you watch Ghost because it was like the syndicated movie that was on network television.
I think you're right on that. I think you're right. I think that's probably how and why I saw it. Like I was probably home from school, like sick one day or something. And yeah. because we had like 10 channels to choose from,
And Ghost.
unless you had cable.
Yep. And if you didn't have cable, you watched Ghost. You
Yeah.
watched Batteries Not Included. Those are
Yep.
like two of the movies you watched if you didn't have cable. Ghost,
Yeah.
Batteries Not Included. There were some other ones that
Yeah.
you'd watch. Gremlins. That was also a I don't have cable movie, which is weird to think about because that nowadays that would not be an I don't have cable movie. But
Well, it's funny because for a little while, my mom, even if we had cable, if we were homesick, we were not allowed to watch cable.
oh,
She was like, "This is not a fun time. This is not a time for you to be hanging out. You can watch whatever's on basic channels," which we watch The Price is Right and As the World Turns, The Young and the
wait, you
Restless.
watched as no. Everyone knows if you had to watch a soap, it should have been General Hospital. General Hospital went hard. It was like the only one better than General Hospital was Passions.
I watched Passions too. Passions was my
Passions.
jam. Passions was my thing for a
Breathe
long
in, breathe
time.
out.
Yeah, I remember at one point in time they had changed the time slot for Passions, and when I got to high school, Passions was on right after school. So we would like rush home from high school to watch Pat. It was the funniest thing because like we were some strange high schoolers. We watched Passions first. There was a group of us of like five, and first we'd watch Passions, and then we'd watch Blues Clues, and
I,
then we would watch I think
I'm
like
not judging you because I understand. Because you were like way too old to watch it, but you were like, but no, for real, this is good though.
like who doesn't love Steve, man? Like I was too old to really like grow up with Steve in that. Like I was a teenager when Blue's Clues came on, at least to my knowledge.
Yeah, no.
And
You're right. Because I was about I feel like I was like 9ish, about 9 when it came on, and I was like, and that was still too old for it. But I was
yeah,
like, this is kind of I like it.
yeah, there was something so wholesome about Steve that you wanted to go watch it because it was like even though you were dealing with silly preschool problems in basic, very basic things, it was reassuring to have someone give you those tools again without ever having to hear your problem and without the judgment. Like, and I have to say, when he came out with that video a little while, what was it, last year, right? When he came out with that video to say hi to everybody. Oh, I was so happy. I clicked on that video so fast to watch his message. I was like, oh my God, it's Steve.
We all felt some type of way because it was just kind of it was really abrupt. It was just like he was just like be like, okay, so this is my brother, bye, and it was just like what? I
Hmm.
remember that feeling of like betrayal.
Yeah, I remember being upset about it. And I remember my friend saying, because I was in my when he left, I was probably in my 20s, my early 20s at that time. And I was like, how can he do this to us? We can't live without him. And while the new guy, I can't remember his name offhand now, while the new
Joe.
Joe, yeah. While Joe was a good guy, I couldn't appreciate him the same way. It felt like I was watching and hanging out with like my little brother, and it was not quite the same for me. Although I am glad to say that I have since then gotten any child I've had to watch into Blue's Clues.
Blue's
Thank God for
Clues.
DVDs.
Blue's Clues is a
Yeah.
vibe. It was an entire vibe. I can to this day. I'm like, dang, Blue's Clues was so good. Like, and I think the thing is, so we didn't really have cable, but whenever cable was accessible to me, Blue's Clues, because the last time I remember watching what you call it, and it was just like a wholesome comfort show, and that is a whole niche, the whole wholesome comfort show
Mhm.
thing. Like Blue's Clues was a comfort show. It was like, yeah, I'm kind of old to be watching this, but I didn't care.
It's kind of funny and rare when you think about it, because I know a lot of people that say the same thing. They were older and watching it, and it's so funny because when you ask them, it's like, we were too old for Barney when Barney came out. So a lot of us didn't really watch Barney. And if you ask them, hey, did you ever get into it? Because like I have one of my younger brothers got real into Barney when he was a kid, and it was on TV a lot. And I did watch it quite often, but Barney never had that effect. Loosely.
I know what Barney's problem was for me, at least. For me, Barney's problem was I would sit and listen to these kids talk, and they were interacting in the world like they were like stupid, and I was confused by it because I was like, these kids are older than me, and they don't know these things. And it just like, and it felt more flustering, and that's what was flustering about Barney. It was like it kind of talked down to you a little, because I realized my least favorite thing, there were like the side characters that would occasionally show up, like Stella. I
Mhm.
don't know what her capacity was, but she would just tell stories, and she was really great at it. And that was like the only good segment of Barney, was like when Stella was just like telling this story, because the way she told stories was amazing. But like the regular parts, like Barney and the kids that were there, were like the weakest parts of it. But then they would have like people randomly show up in it, and those were like good. Although I have like a laundry list of theories about Barney, because number one, can we talk about Barney isn't real?
Okay. You got
That's
my
like the
idea.
thing to understand. Barney isn't real. Like these
Well,
kids, for
yeah,
whatever reason, are unsupervised after school and creating this lore, this Barney lore in their heads. Because that song starts out, Barney is a dinosaur from our imagination. He's not real. It's like these kids just get together and
yeah,
collectively imagine him as like,
yeah.
which is weird, and which is a weird thing. It's just totally a weird thing. But I'm just telling you, Barney isn't real.
Well, no, he's supposed to be. That's the whole thing. That's actually in the theme song. Barney is a dinosaur from our
From our imagine,
imagination.
yeah, but that's also why I think it's like what is wrong with these kids?
Well, they say in the song, and when he's tall, he's what we call a dinosaur sensation. Yeah, I don't really know why they all imagine him.
Yes, see, and that's what makes it crazier. It's like, why are you? There's like, so like the only segment I really enjoyed in Barney was like Stella, when she would come and she would tell like stories, and they'd be just like regular stories, but the way she told them was just really fun. Like, and it was fun because it was like she was relating a story that happened, and like, that one friend that we have that just tells like, you'll never believe what happened to me, and that's the way she told stories. Like, and it'd just be like, I remember her, the way she told like Little Red Hen, and she would be, and she just told it in the same way that your friend who tells like funny stories might say, you'll never believe what happened to me, and she would
Yeah.
tell her the stories that way, and I was like, oh, Stella's cool. But I don't know, I loved kid shows
That's
back in the
funny.
day. Kid songs,
Oh, dude,
was
yeah,
obsessed with kid songs.
I remember one time when I was in high
Yeah.
school. We were in a science class, and we were learning more about the body and the anatomy particularly. And I remember we watched, my teacher rolled in the VCR and the TV, because yes, kids, back then we had to roll in a separate TV and a VCR because they weren't in every room. Well, they don't have VCRs in rooms anyway anymore, but not the point. Anyway, and we were all like, "Oh, okay, we're gonna watch this video," and all of a sudden the movie comes on, and it's the Magic School Bus. It's the episode where they shrink down and go into that annoying
Arnold,
little kid, Arnold. Yeah, they go
Arthur,
into
Arnold. Yeah, Arnold.
Arnold's. Yeah, it was Arnold's body. Um, and I remember I was like, wow, this is. And we asked him like, why on earth did you play this movie? Like, why did you pick this to watch? And he's like, it's actually pretty accurate for a kids cartoon, and it's fairly simple enough, so you guys should catch everything. Thanks. That's so nice. So nice.
Yeah.
Although my
I mean,
daughter,
that was life.
although I have to laugh, my daughter last week in school, the teacher showed them. Oh, uh, School of Rock. They got to
Also
watch
good.
an episode of School of Rock last week. And I was like, oh, that's amazing. She's like, I want to watch it later. I'm like, we can do that. That we can do. I like Schoolhouse Rock. I still, yeah, I'll get down to that anytime. That had some good songs. They had some good music for that show.
Mhm. I like that show.
Oh, that's the best.
Man,
You see what Joe Pool wrote? For Barty, Barty's was frustrating. He can't watch it, and those kids were in a mental hospital on prescriptions. It's a
I
possibility.
honestly believe it because they were like collectively imagining a dinosaur.
Hmm. Got a point. You got a point. Okay, so we've been off track.
Oh,
Let's go back to it. All right, I will say a movie, and mine is very much what everyone's probably expecting and what anyone will be expecting. I actually have a couple of lists to choose from. I've done this a few times. Um, okay, first, what I'm going to go with is that one that I feel does not get enough respect because it actually is a fantastic movie. It was just not advertised very well. And I don't think it's ever been represented very well. But Jennifer's Body from
Jennifer's Body is
2009,
amazing.
that movie is fantastic.
It Yeah, because it's like, it does the checklist things like, the teen kind of like horror movie. It does the checklist on that. And then not only that, but it also subverts a lot of things too. And I think that's what made it so fantastic because it's like that niche of like, let's do what you expect, but then not.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I
Uh,
mean, it's a good movie because it takes two characters, two female characters, and they're not. I mean, while Needy does need, obviously with her name, while Needy does need to find her backbone, and she does eventually. Um, Realistically, they're not exactly terrible characters. They're not badly written, and they're not written to be completely stupid. There
no,
is
they're both
some,
good characters, and they're both like, they were typical of like the kind of characters that they created, but
yeah. In my
Jennifer, she was a compelling villain because, she wasn't like a villain like the other villains.
I feel like they did a really good job representing high school girls, in my opinion. I think they wrote the characters very well for high schoolers. I think they behave very much like high school girls do. Um, I just think they did a really good job representing all the way around because Jennifer, like you said, she wasn't your typical villain. She wasn't necessarily even trying to be a villain. She was
No.
just trying to survive with what she had to deal with. I
Hmm.
mean, if you think about it, really the only villains in the entire movie was that stupid
The
rock
band.
band, and they end up getting it anyway. I wish that you had seen a little more in the shots they show you during the credits.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I thought the movie was fantastic. I thought it was extremely well done. I mean, I just don't think it gets enough credit because, oh, Megan Fox. Well, I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but she's actually not bad. She's
No,
not a
you know
horrible
how people
actress.
are. People like to hate things. People don't actually like to
Yeah,
observe things and watch things.
I'm
They like to just hate.
I'm genuinely surprised that people are um, more supportive of other actresses who come from different backgrounds. You know what I mean? Like Megan was never. I don't feel like she's ever really been supported in the film industry personally by your average people. I think a lot of people kind of hate on her for no reason
No,
just because she is
people
who
will
she is.
hate on a lot of. I don't know. Especially around the time, like people hate on a lot of like actresses from around certain times, and it's always like, okay, get over yourself. You just okay, let it go. But they don't really have like, and Jennifer's Body. I think that's one of what happened with Jennifer's Body because that was like a solid movie. I was like, what? People hating on this?
Yeah, no, I absolutely agree. I mean, there's a few other movies that I feel kind of got that, and unfortunately, one that will forever be tainted is All the Boys Love Mandy Lane. Have you ever seen that?
Yes.
That's not a bad movie. Don't get me wrong, there are some flaws with it. Mainly Amber Heard being the star is the biggest blunder there is. However, this was way before she ever even had a name. I believe this is like one of the first few movies she actually did. Um, but I don't think anyone's ever really going to appreciate that movie just because she's in it. Like I said, there's some faults in it, but it's not the worst movie. It's actually a pretty decent movie, especially for a twist that you kind of saw coming.
Yeah.
I kept calling it the first time I watched it. I watched it with my husband actually. As a matter of fact, I could tell him I was like, "Yeah, she's yep, that's I can tell you exactly what's going on, what's happening."
I think a lot of times people watch movies. People are very simple creatures and they need a team.
Hmm.
And if you're like not like that, like I have to have a team for like the things, my entertainment, then you notice it more. If you're not like I have to have someone, like you can't just watch a movie. Like I can watch a movie and I don't have any expectations for the movie. Most movies they'll guide you and you're like, "Oh yeah, that was obvious." But when you don't have any expectations for the movie, when a movie guides you and it takes you someplace that you didn't expect to go, you're like, "Okay, that's cool." But I think a lot of people don't handle that cool. That's cool because they need to be. I know this is awful to say. They need to be told how to think and feel about things.
My only problem with particular movies is when they get too I guess the best way to describe it would be they get too full of themselves with this artsy, fartsy BS, and it becomes too complicated of a story. I mean, it shouldn't be that where you have to spell it out. And yeah, you should be able to fill in some lines and things, but there's a few movies that are just, you have no clue the whole time what the hell's going on. I mean, the biggest example in the I believe it's probably the closest release date that I could think of would be Mother. That movie, I had no idea. I had to read an entire synopsis in like somebody's homework explaining this, and I'm pretty sure I read a freaking thesis on it. And I still, the movie's terrible. It's,
Did you
it's
you watch the English language version?
yeah.
Okay.
There's more than one for Mother.
Uh, is the movie where the lady gets like cosmetic surgery?
No. You're thinking of
I'm thinking of
oh
another movie.
yeah, you're thinking of a different movie. No, I'm thinking of the one with Jennifer Lawrence and the
Oh yeah,
French
I saw
guy.
that movie and I was like, I don't even know what I just watched.
There's been a few like that that you watch them,
Yeah,
and you're like, what am I watching? I
and you
don't.
just felt like your time was taken from you.
Yes, I felt like my time was just wasted, and I will never get that time back. Um, No, it was just that's the only time I can't stand it is when they don't make any sense. There was a movie not too long ago that I watched that it actually kind of frustrated me like that to where yeah, I had to go online and look for somebody's thesis on it because it's like I don't mind mystery for the character, the villain of the story. I don't they don't have to have a necessary ending, but there should be a conclusion to the movie. You know what I mean? Like the characters don't have to necessarily end, but there should be a conclusion for the movie. The whole reason we watched this movie. There should be a nice little closing for it to be like, here you go. It's over for now. Like Smile. What the hell was that? That movie was bad. This movie's terrible. And there's making another one. Or maybe it already was released. I don't know. I don't care. The movie's terrible. Oh, hey, Axel.
I mean, Smile, yeah, they are making another one, and it's kind of disappointing because yes, Smile was. I watched that, and when I was done, I was like, I feel like I want my time back. Everything about that movie was like, I just want my time back. I think that's like the worst thing a movie can do is to me for me is like make me.
Yeah. I agree. I agree. Okay. So, what is your second movie for the evening that you
My
think is
second movie
amazing?
I'll talk about is The Last Unicorn.
Oh, yeah. Okay. I've heard. I think I've heard you talk about this one before. It's the
Because I
cart,
will never
the really
stop.
old cartoon, right?
Yeah, I will never stop talking about The Last Unicorn because it is simply amazing.
That's too funny. It is a good
Um,
movie.
yeah, it's so anyone who hasn't seen The Last Unicorn is an amazing movie. Um, it's just like the tale of this chill unicorn just living in its woods, enjoying life, and then some like butterfly comes by and is like, "Yo, yeah, enjoy this because you're like the last one left." And she's like, "Whoa, what?" And she's like, "Yeah, this Red Bull came through and took all of them." And she's like, "What?" And it's like a big shock to her that she's like the last one. So then she goes on this. She's like, hey, forest creatures that I take care of. I gotta go find my buddies, so I'll be back." And she goes on this long odyssey to find out what happens. Makes friends along the way and stuff like that. It's a really good story.
I do remember uh, the drawings of it, but I don't remember the movie itself. So I don't think I saw The Last Unicorn. I think that's one of the movies I didn't see. One of the
It
few.
I enjoy it because it's not like a movie that's like, oh, it's so it tells a story. The story isn't very straightforward. And I like that it also doesn't really have a clean ending. Like the ending is very bittersweet,
Yeah.
but it's and I kind of like those endings where they aren't like, oh, and everything ended happily and perfectly for everyone. The end. Bittersweet is the best kind of ending.
Okay. So I guess it's time for me to talk about the next one I've got. Um, Actually, this one is not that old, and I watched this one because I was lucky enough to interview someone who had worked on the movie, and that's actually somewhere on 4GQ channel. I have to go back and find it somewhere, but it's there. Um, Scare Package from 2019. It is
Yeah.
a horror comedy or a dark comedy, I guess. I don't know. Horror comedy. It's horror comedy. Um, that movie is hilarious. Um, it's it's got a wraparound story, and it's an anthology movie. Um, it's you can tell they had fun making it. You can tell they had fun with it. It's just a fun movie. I liked it. I think the effects were really pretty good in it. I like the fact that they tried to use a lot of practical effects, which is really nice to hear because a lot of movies don't try to do that much anymore. So it's nice when someone does put forth that effort. I think it is a little more noticeable. That's just me. I prefer practical effects over CGI. But you've seen Scare Package. What do you think of it?
I love Scare Package. I personally feel like there's no such thing as a bad anthology, which is probably bad on me, but I
You know,
personally feel like there's no such thing as a
no,
bad
actually,
anthology.
I'll see you that one, and I will raise you XX. Have you ever watched that?
XX?
Hmm.
No.
It was a big deal when it was released because it's an anthology movie, and all of the directors that had a hand in it, they're all female directors. It was written by women, directed by women. It was this big thing a few years back of, oh, it's, all women. I had high hopes for it. I really wanted to enjoy it. And it, to me personally, it's just not what I wanted. I think they could have done a little better if they maybe had taken, I don't know if they needed more time. I don't know if they needed a different studio, what the problem was, but it didn't live up to the hype to me. That's just me.
XS.
XX. Nope, just XX.
Oh, I've seen this. I just didn't remember it. Oof. Uh. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, see? I'm not lying.
It
Is
wasn't the
that,
worst thing I've ever watched.
no, I didn't say it was the worst. I didn't say it was completely horrible. I just said it did not live up to expectations and hype.
Uh,
I was a little disappointed. They could have left off the whole everybody's a woman aspect. That was kind of disappointing. Oh, hey, Fastback. Um, okay, so what is your third movie that you would like to discuss? And if anybody has something in a movie that you guys would like to talk about, type it into the chat.
Yep, yep.
We'll do our
Share. Do sharing is caring.
best.
Okay, so this one is a bit of a off the wall one, but I'm like, and it's not unpopular.
Mhm.
Uh, I'm going to have to go with Dawn of the Dead, the
Oh, you're going for the
twenty
original?
twenty four one actually.
Oh, Dawn of the.
I like
Oh,
the original Dawn of the Dead, but this sounds weird, but the 2024 one is like comfort food for me.
wait. There's a 2024
Is
Dawn
it
of the Dead.
2024? Yeah, like the old one that was like the 1979 Dawn of the Dead. Was it 1979?
Uh,
Or was it 2022?
I think you're thinking of 2004. Are you thinking of
2004. Sorry, I mixed up my numbers.
Yeah, it's 2000. You had me. I'm like, wait a minute. Did they release one and I didn't know about it?
Sorry, guys. I had the wrong date. But yeah, that movie.
That's too funny.
It's an amazing. It is such a comfort movie for me,
Hmm,
and I don't even know why.
that's funny. That was too funny.
Like I'll literally sit down and be like, you know what? I feel like chilling. What do I want to watch? Dawn of the Dead.
You know what's funny is it's actually directed by Zack Snyder, and it's one of the few movies he doesn't have too many ridiculous explosions for no reason.
Honestly, I think that's the only movie with his name attached to it that I like.
That's funny.
One of the best openings of any movie.
Mm. The opening is amazing for that,
And
actually.
also like just not just the opening with like, the footage, like but also the the main character lady, how just immediately clever she is.
Hmm.
Not to not to lose her cool and just to like, okay, you got to get out of the situation.
I found her character a little more realistic because she's a nurse. So it's like it makes sense that she would be calm when things start hitting the fan because like that's part of her training. So it was nice that she didn't just stand there and start screaming at
Yeah, she was immediately like, okay. Like the first scene where, everything's going down and she immediately looks at the what you call like gotta grab those keys.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, oh, she knows what she's doing. She was like, gotta grab those keys.
Yeah. No, I agree. I agree. That was smart moves by her. Her character was actually, I don't think her character really made too many mistakes. I mean, she handled just about everything she was put in, so she was actually a really strong character. So, yeah, I agree with you. That is a really good movie. I watch that movie a lot too. I'm guilty of putting it on when I want to watch zombies. I'm
Ha
like, I need this.
ha ha ha.
I was
I'm
so happy when
vindicated.
they finally put it on Netflix. I was like, oh my gosh, I've been trying to watch it. I haven't.
Vindicated because yes, I love that movie.
It is a good movie. It is a very good movie. I agree, for sure. Oh, that's too funny. That's too funny. Well, okay. Let me see. Let's go with, I'll take one from the last few years. Okay, here we go. Um, Mom and Dad. It's got Nicolas Cage in it, and oh God, Laura, I gotta remember her name. Hold on. Why can't I think of her name right now? I know who it is. Selma Blair. It's Nicolas Cage and Selma Blair playing the parents, and it's like a rage virus, not a zombie virus, but like it just makes the parents exceptionally angry, and it
I've
makes all
seen this, and they're trying to kill the kids.
yes, yes,
And it starts
yeah.
out like a normal school day, and then
Hmm.
everyone's like just trying to kill their
Hmm.
kids, or succeeding at killing their kids, and it's just like, I like that movie.
Yeah, it's a good movie. I'm surprised it didn't get more advertisements when it came out. I don't know if it was because it came out in 2018 and maybe that was a bad year for movies. I don't know, but that movie kind of came out and kind of slipped under the radar for the most part, and that movie is funny. It's got a lot of really good moments in it. And Nicolas Cage, of course, he's Nicolas Cage in it a few times. I love it, especially when he like freaks out and screams because it's part of the character. It's not like just a weird thing. There's actual reason for his madness, I guess you could say. But yeah, I like that movie. It's a good movie. Oh, okay. Um, I do want to make mention though of the voices with Ryan Reynolds in it.
Ah,
That's from 2015. If anyone's curious,
also
um,
some good stuff.
it's a really good movie. He plays a schizophrenic in it who should not be listening to his dog. Son of Sam comes to mind. Not quite, but almost.
Yeah,
And he's not really a villain per se, so much as you feel really sad for him. It's really pretty, but it's a good movie. That's a really good movie too. So, do you have any other honorable mentions?
if I listed off all my honorable mentions, we'd be here all night.
Let's think of one that may not be that well known.
Outside of a Okay, so I'm gonna pick one outside of a genre that I
Okay.
normally do,
Okay.
and I'm gonna go with a Florida Project.
Oh yeah, I've heard about that one. That won a lot of awards. I've never actually seen that one.
Yeah,
I did hear a lot about it.
it's both heartbreaking and amazing. Well, I would just say the guy who does that, because the way he does films in a very incredible way. You know how like a lot of people make films about like poor people and stuff like that, and
Hmm.
they're kind of voyeuristic and
Yeah.
exploitative. His aren't. His are just tales of like poor people. So and like under you know underseen communities. Like
Yeah.
so, Florida Project is great, and it's like this girl. It's like takes place over the summer, and it's this girl who out of school. She's like I guess like 6 or 7, and she lives in a motel, and it's about her life just living in a motel, and it's not oh ever so tragic, and it's bittersweet because that's how things are when that's life, but it's also just kind of amazing just the things that are happening in the story. Like one of my favorite lines in the movie was when she's like she and another girl are sitting by a tree, and she's like, "You know what I love about this tree?" And she's like, because it's fallen over, but it just keeps growing." And I was like, that's like such a amazing kind of like weird thing to say, but also very sticking with the theme of like the movie. And I mean, the same guy, he did like another one that's also equally as good. Um, and it's called Tangerine.
Hmm.
And it's about these two transgender prostitutes on like Christmas Eve. One just got out of jail, and she's like on this quest to track down like her cheating boyfriend. And they're like sex workers, so it's like a lot of things, but it's not about the tragedy.
Hmm.
And that's what makes it beautiful. It's like it's not about their tragedy. It's just about like their life. And in that way you can like laugh with them
Hmm.
and enjoy the experience.
Yeah.
It doesn't feel like someone looking in on them and be like, "Oh, be as messy as possible."
Yeah. It's not like reality TV.
Yes, it doesn't treat it like it's a sideshow. It's just like this is a day in their life and it's enjoyable.
Hmm. Yeah. I have to look into Tangerine. I've avoided the Florida Project just because, I live in Florida. I see that all the time. That's not that strange.
I mean, it's not a bad movie. Nothing in it is like really like voyeuristic. So instead,
Hmm.
it just feels like kind of like almost a coming of age story about like a girl, a young girl in living in Florida,
Hmm.
and like it's very relatable in the way that it's like a bunch of kids
Hmm.
doing kid stuff.
Yeah. Huh. I'm glad it's there for people to watch. At least it's not Florida Man.
No, it's very much not Florida Man. It's very much its own thing, and yeah, I like it.
And I just want to go on the record by stating that most of the time, when you guys all hear about Florida Man, Florida woman doing some crazy stuff, it's not the people that live here or have lived here for
Excuses,
long.
excuses.
Listen, we get you guys down here when you're ready to cut loose and party for a week or whatever, for the spring break, for your summer vacation, for your week trip, whatever. Yeah, y'all can't handle your liquor apparently and hang out in the sun. I just want to go on record by saying what you do there does not work here. If you drink 2 beers in the Florida sun, in the heat, in the humidity, it's kind of like drinking 4 beers. I'm just saying. It's
I'm
my
just
prerogative.
saying excuses, excuses.
Listen, Paul, you, sir, are the original Florida man. I
Paul
don't
is
want
the
to hear
quintessential
anything
Florida man.
about you. He is the original Florida man. But with that being said, you guys are too funny.
Paul is so Florida man that I don't know.
Oh. Okay, I guess I can do another one that I don't think got enough credit. Um, the Final Girls in
Oh yeah,
2018. That's another horror comedy, and it is so funny, so funny. They get trapped in a movie and have to deal with the movie, and I love it. I think it's great. I think it's so funny. That's just me though. So, but
Final Girls is good.
Paul, we moved here 2 years ago. I don't care how. Did you not just hear what I said? Florida man's not from Florida.
Paul's trying to make excuses for why he's not Florida man. It's in your blood, Paul. You're a Florida man.
Oh, that's great. But
I don't know. I was supposed to be watching something tonight, but I don't remember what it was. And
anything.
it makes me want to lament how do you remember how streaming services used to have really great interfaces
Yeah.
for discoverability? So you didn't know what you wanted to watch, but you were just looking through them, and
Mhm.
it was easy to like just pull up like, oh, this is the genre I'm interested in, and
Yeah.
you'd see all the movies for that genre. So you were like, okay, I'm gonna see all the movies for this genre. So you didn't even care.
Hmm.
Um, I miss that.
Unfortunately, I think there's just too many movies now. There's just too many options.
But the
There's too
thing is,
much
they can still show
information.
you
So.
by genre and show you everything. Nowadays, it feels like they just show you what, they want you to see. But they used to just show you.
Oh, your mic just cut out. I don't know what happened. That was strange.
But yeah, you used to be able to just be like, oh, okay, here's the genre I'm picking. And
Hmm.
you would see everything under that genre. You wouldn't
Hmm.
just be like, wait, that's on the service? Why didn't it pop up when I was looking for something to watch? Like nowadays, like it doesn't pop up, it doesn't necessarily pop all the things up. And that's what makes it disappointing.
Yeah, that's true too. Or I find a lot of times too when I'm looking for something in particular, it'll show me that plus like 20 other things that I didn't ask for. Sometimes things that aren't even close to the genre. It always cracks me up. Like if I put in that I'm looking for zombie movies, I'll just put in zombie, and I end up with like a recommendation for like under the Tuscan Sun or something ridiculous. It's like this is not even close to the right genre, people.
um,
Where do you find zombies in Love Actually? Are you guys okay over there? Are you feeling all right? Like,
so I will also like to let you know that what's it? Sorry, my brain. That that the Changeling is available on Shudder.
hmm.
If you have not seen that horror movie, it's an oldie but goodie.
Fall Under the Tuscan Sun makes you, the viewer, a zombie. That's funny. Now that's funny. Maybe true. Might be true. Sounds legit, honestly. I'm not even gonna lie. That's great. But with that being said, we will not keep you lovely folks any longer. We shall return next week. Okay. So, with that being said, I'm Death Dealer. You can
I'm
find
Cozy
me,
Beluga.
and we'll see everybody next week. So, everybody, have a good night and have a good week. Bye.
Later, taters.